Hey there, my name is Brooke Nevin. I play Valerie in F, Mary Kill, and you're watching Young Entertainment. Hey, Eli, how are you?
Hi, Brooke. I'm so good. Thank you so much for FaceTiming us. We're so excited.
I'm so excited. Thanks for having me today.
Of course. Let's jump in.
All right, let's do it.
We here at Young Entertainment are all about masterclass moments and learning from talent directly in the field. So, my first question for you is, what were your initial thoughts when you first read the script for F, Mary Kill?
Oh, I mean, I would like to say crack open, but it was a digital copy. So when I started on page one, um, it was such a fast, fun read because the comedic tone was so specific, and then you're layering in the mystery element of the whodunit of or who's gonna get killed next, sort of ticking clock of Lucy Hale's character Eva trying to figure out which of the men she's dating might actually send her to a shallow grave. And it's the twist of the end surprised me. And also, it was so I found myself at first reading the script from the perspective of, the character that I was going to play or hope to play. Um,
Interesting.
and then very quickly, it just became like I felt like an audience member, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? This is so fun, and laughing out loud while I was reading the script. So it was a really great first read of the script, and I knew I absolutely wanted to be a part of the project as soon as I read it.
That's so cool. I love hearing those stories where it's like, oh, I'll check out my character, I'll see what the vibe is, and then it's like, oh, I'm in. I'm
I'm
hooked.
sucked in. Yep, I'm
Yeah.
hooked. Yeah.
That's when you know. That's when you know it's meant to be. I love that. So I'm curious, obviously the first time you read through it, you're a fan, you saw it from your perspective. How did it change even through the audition process, but really like once you got onto set and you really got into the meats and bones with the director, your castmates, etc.
Yeah. Well, the audition came through as a self tape, like any other. So, um, I find with self tapes now, there's a little bit more like versus when you used to go in the room and you'd have like a couple of choices on lockdown, right? You'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go in with this strong choice, but I'm gonna have that other one in my back pocket or know that I can shift or take a direction and it's different. Now, um, there's a general prep, but sometimes, we kind of allow ourselves to feel it or figure it out in the moment. And so, what was fun with this character, and sometimes I work on the outside in versus inside out, which is like sometimes my hair a certain way or wearing a certain like outfit can be like, oh, there she is. I have her now.
Mm.
So there was a little bit of that, and then there was a little bit of fun with another prop that was like a full face mask, you know,
Oh, oh,
like
oh my God, legend.
yes. So I was trying to incorporate that into the audition just because I thought it was a hilarious moment in the script. And then it just like logistics wise, doing a self tape is like just was not going to work because then I was going to do the rest of the audition like this. And I was like, okay, all right, fine, 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 fine. We'll just, go with the flow. But it was really fun putting Valerie to tape and I wanted to make sure that I had that pacing and comedic tone that was really apparent in the script. And then when we got on set, it was really fun because Laura Murphy, our director, is a huge fan of yes anding and improving and sort of not being precious at all with the script. Like, okay, we know this, we know these characters, but what if they did this or what if you said this? And so our entire time on set, even though it was a really fast-paced shoot, I felt like we got so many options because she just keep throwing things at us or say, try whatever you want. Like, okay, now let's do it this way. And it was just a great experience in play and feeling like you couldn't fall flat on your face because you were just trying whatever, and she was going to reel us back in if we needed to, or we were going to just start laughing during a take, and sometimes that happened too.
That's the best. That's the
Yeah.
best, right? You gotta have a little blooper reel at the end, you know?
Yeah, I know, and I wish they had done this for this movie because I know that all of us at certain points just completely cracked. But yeah.
I bet it was hard not to. I mean,
It
especially
was,
when you have so many like brilliant creatives and especially like ones that have been doing it so long, like y'all are such an experienced cast that
yeah,
like when it comes to just set, it's kind of like you're just playing around almost, right? You
yeah.
forget there's even a script, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's so cool to hear. Um, how do you see your like character going into it and like how does it change and how do you keep up with the character's arc through the filming process? Because oftentimes, you film out of order and stuff like that. So, how do you where do you put your mindset going into filming? And then how do
hmm
you keep up with like where you are in the story?
Um, well, generally, because my character in this movie doesn't have a huge character except that she has a very strong opinion and then feels vindicated. So, um, which was fun to play. But in general, I'm a big fan of color coding my script. Sometimes, like if I'm following a character's journey
Oh.
where there's a lot of like an A, B, and C story in the script, or different relationships that have their own arcs within the story, then I might color code a script and say, okay, this is my character's relationship with her dad throughout the movie, and that's all the blue tabs. And then this is my this is a romance happening between this and this other character, and so that's red or whatever. And this is my character, shifting through this relationship with her sister, or maybe there's a any number of different stories. So I often will do that. And then tracking time passage as well is important. It gives me an opportunity that, if we're on set and we're hopping between um, scenes out of order, which we of course often do, then I can kind of just have a visual cue and it might drop me back right into where I need to be in terms of tracking that. So I don't know, I'm a little bit of a nerd that way. Like
I
bring
love
out the
that.
colored tabs, bring out the colored highlighters. Yeah. hmm
That's great. That's not a nerd. That's like just being organized professional, you
Yes,
know.
yes, yeah.
You're killing it.
Yeah.
Whatever
So
works, right?
whatever
Too. Like I
works,
feel like everyone
exactly.
has their own process too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you figured out the one that works for
Thing
you.
that
So
works for
that's all
me.
that
Yeah.
matters.
There's
Yeah.
something so like calming and delicious about going to, Staples or one of those stores that has all of the new pens and markers
So
and tabs
true.
and like, oh, new binder for my script because I'm all about having the tactile sensation of being able to like write in the margins and dog ear pages and all of that. So
So
yeah.
we'll find you at the stationery section of a store, is what you're
Oh,
saying.
mm,
Okay.
makes me so excited.
It's the little things, isn't it?
Right,
It really is.
exactly.
I love that. What type of like research do you have to do when taking on a role? And how do you then use that research and apply it? Or sometimes maybe not apply it and act like,
Right.
oh, you have no clue what's going on.
That's a really good question. And I would say for me, it shifts depending on what kind of role I'm taking on.
Okay.
For instance, Valerie and If Mary Kill, I mean, it was so much about this role is just my relationship with my sister, and I am an older sister. I have a sister who's 7 years my junior, and so a lot of the time I'll start with a character and figure out, okay, how is this character like me? Because that's stuff that I already know that stuff, right? And then I'll look to what are the things that I need to fill in the gaps here.
Hmm.
I have played forensic psychiatrists in the past, or um, tech whizzes that are like really good at figuring out information digitally. I've played, trainee firefighters and paramedics and all, so I always like to at least immerse myself in the technical aspects of the character's world. So that could mean reading a book on serial killers or on forensic psychology or have it like interviewing people. I was prepping for a role once where I was playing a cop, a trainee cop, and so I was getting ready to um, go on a ride along, that sort of thing. Any way that you can immerse yourself in the world, that role never came to pass, unfortunately, because that would have been really cool. But
Yeah.
um, that sort of thing. And I like to have a journal and just ask a lot of what if questions for my character so that sometimes I have a whole world that is sort of my own secret going in that's for my character that's separate from the script. It's sort of all of the scenes and histories, private histories of where my character has been and why they got to the point in the script that they're at.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. You're a very like kinesthetic learner, right? Like you're very like
Hmm.
do in the
Yeah.
sense of like let's just try it and
Yep.
see what happens. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I feel like I'm that way too. So like I feel like I can relate to everything that you're saying and I'm like, oh, this is so fascinating. I could
That's
talk to
rad.
you about this all day.
I could too,
Um,
honestly.
yeah, I love this stuff. Okay. Anyways, moving on. We've talked about Lucy Hale
Hmm.
who plays her sister, and we've
Yep.
talked about your character Val and the importance of the relationship with your sister Eva. So I'm curious, how were the two of you able to like form that like sisterly relationship, sibling relationship? Does that happen on set? Does that happen off set? What's your process when it comes to that sort of thing?
Well, again, this was a really fast shoot, so we didn't have a lot of time to explore or rehearse or spend time with each other. My intro to Lucy was before we started filming, and it was a stunt rehearsal.
Wow.
I'm supposed to like jump on her back, and
Oh my gosh.
she's not a big person. I'm not a big person either, but I'm still bigger than Lucy Hale, and so I was. I think we broke a lot of ice because it was I had to jump on her back, and so we had to work it out. And I was so worried about breaking the star of the movie before we started
Oh
filming.
no.
But so that in itself was very funny, and it got us literally very physically close quickly. And I think there was just something really fun and playful but like teasy and like contentious but in a fun way between these sisters, and it's actually not um it's not something that I explore with my sister. We're it's different, and we're very loving and very like soft and sweet, and so to have like kind of a this sort of competitive fun relationship was fun to explore, and Lucy's so game. She's like, yeah, take me on, jump on my back, like let's go
Of
for it.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
that's so in go for it.
no,
Sorry.
just starting with that willingness to play and just jump full in was a great way to start this relationship of us being sisters.
Totally. I'm sure
Yeah.
it was a great way to break the ice. You guys had to
Hmm.
like form trust immediately in each
Yeah.
other. Like, yeah, that's
Test
wild.
boundaries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once again, just like going for it, just trying it out and like hoping it works out, That's awesome. Was there anything that like I mean, I feel like as actors, right? You're so experienced and you're so well versed. You've played so many different people and lived different lives on all of your shows that you've been in. Was there any I feel like as actors we're always like learning. Every new project, it's a new learning experience, new worlds, etc. Was there anything on this project in particular, maybe even something that you picked up from Lucy throughout her process, that you feel like you were like, oh, I'm definitely going to take that with me onto my next project or something like that on
Yeah.
this set?
Yeah. I mean, Lucy is such a pro, and it was great watching her on set because she arrives with such presence, but action, absolute like calm. Like she just, it's like, of course, it's second nature to her, but there's a level of her um, being able to command the set and just be there and be so present that it was really great to have that as a number one to set the tone. Um,
Mm.
and then I would say, working with Laura, our director, it was a really great refresher in not being afraid of the flop. And I don't know if you've ever studied clown, but Clown philosophy talks a
No.
lot about the flop, which is the moment where if you do something and you don't get a laugh, like you have to recover. But it can be exhilarating to do something and for it to feel too big or too far or not funny. In fact, a lot of those takes ended up in the movie, so they actually were funny. But it's really great to I learned from Laura setting up an ethos or like a vibe on set where everybody's just game to try things and not being worried about failing. Like you can
Yeah,
do no wrong. The doing is the taking the leap is the important part.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Speaking of your director and directing in general, I noticed that you've directed
I
before.
have.
You have,
Yep.
yeah. So what's the difference of like directing versus
Hmm.
like being directed? Like, do you feel
Yeah.
like after having that experience, it maybe like, I don't know, kind of allowed you to become a better actor in a way?
I would say that the experiences definitely sort of braid into one another, and there's like a not a give and take, but there's definitely areas where having been an actor and bringing that into my experience directing has been such an asset. And then of course when I'm coming back on set, just in one lane playing an actor, my experience as a director is interesting. There's both benefits and drawbacks to that. The benefit is the benefit is realizing as an actor, sometimes we get on set and we think like, oh my gosh, it's all on me. The camera's a close up, it's on me. And of course, yes, we're responsible for telling the story, but there's so many other ways, the lighting, the color grading, the lensing choice, movement within the camera that help to accentuate and support an actor's performance that will make
Right.
it even better, right? It's not all on the actor to be responsible for telling the story. There's so many other um, tools at a director's disposal that help support that. The flip side is sometimes, as a director, oh my God, you appreciate when an actor comes to set and they know their lines and one of the things you don't have to worry about is whether or not the actor's keyed into their performance, whether they know their lines, et cetera, because you realize as a director, there's so many other things that happen during a take, whether it's the movement of the dolly, like if it hit a bump and like that take's not usable, or maybe the focus puller needs another take because at the emotional crux of the scene, like their eye wasn't in focus, or maybe the wind blew and like the hair's out of whack and now the continuity's off and you're gonna have to do another take for the edit. So
Right.
it's there's so many aspects of the storytelling that I'm aware of now having directed. But I do feel like I'm able to just sort of like go and like sit in the back seat and just go on for the ride now when it's just my turn to be an actor.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not to
Okay,
say
so
I'm not thinking, but like it's especially nice, like Laura, when you have a director, you're like, oh my God, boy, they've got this, and then not to worry about all those other things that it's behind the curtain, like Oz. You now know what goes into making the sausage, and you can't unknow it after you know it.
Totally.
Yeah,
Love the Wicked reference. Okay,
right.
period.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so interesting because I felt like, or I don't know, I kind of just assumed that like once you like put on that director hat, it may be a little hard to take it off. And like once you get on a set, it's like, oh, or even maybe like, I don't know, myself in particular, like as actors, I feel like we're hard on ourselves, like we are our
Yes,
toughest
we're very
critics.
hard on ourselves.
So maybe even like in that sense of like, oh, now that I've been at like you've worn the director hat, maybe you direct yourself a little harder or something like that. Do you notice anything like that?
I think for a long time, and I, it could be an unfair phrase sometimes, but I do try to show up on set director proof. And what I mean by that is that I know the story strong enough, and I've had enough time with this, given myself enough time with the script, and played with the character enough where I feel like um, I'm at least coming to the set with some strong, actionable choices, right? So I'm
Sure.
not relying on the director to tell me what to do. But then certainly they come in and shift my performance, then I'm ready for that, you know? Um,
Sure.
so it's like showing up to set with an idea, right?
Yeah,
And making sure that you've done your script analysis and you understand the tone and whatever, you know, whether it's a guest star or if you're um, you know, leading the main character arc in a movie. But I would say I
absolutely.
probably, even before I started directing, and it's what led me to directing as well, I always had sort of a holistic approach to the script and figuring out where the character is and how all the other elements um, come together to enhance that story. And it just made sense for me to start having my fingers in more of the creative process, you know?
Totally.
Yeah,
It all goes back to the preparation process, right? Of
yeah,
for both sides, for directing
absolutely.
and acting. Um, Fascinating. I love this. I'm in heaven right now. Okay. What was the most challenging part of this project in particular, and how do you feel like you overcame it?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I mean, I would say, I guess just the pacing. Like there were a couple of scenes where my character is just talking a lot and very fast and is like in a like a amped up emotional state. So just technically, and because it's comedy and you know, I for me it was just making sure I was just so completely and you know, effortlessly off book that I could just play within it. So that was just like a technical thing for this job. Yeah.
Well, actually, you obviously like are on the phone a few times like during
Yes.
this show. So I was curious, like, are you allowed to like dial up like a friend? Are you like t talking to someone, or are you just like improving black
No,
phone?
no. I mean, my first thought is like, oh, the sound people would hate it if there's like an actual static or if you could hear anybody on the phone. But it's
Dang.
normally a prop phone. It's normally not connected. Like normally you can't make calls to anybody. And no, you just have to have a very strong image in your mind of who you're talking to and sort of like imagine their reactions while you're talking as if it's, you know, a phone conversation like in the real world, you know, we're always imagining what our friends or loved ones are saying on the other end. So
Exactly.
because
I,
oftentimes it's just like the scripty, you know, reading the lines and you know, they sometimes they do a great job and sometimes it's just like, you know, kind of a placeholder and that's fine too. You know.
oh
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Moving on. But yeah, that's real. And oftentimes can be helpful. So that's great. Um I'm curious, you mentioned like the research and the preparation, and you've
Yeah.
kind of like that's kind of been a little theme here that we have going on. Do you have any recommendations for our audience, for our younger audience, that want to become an actor, maybe want to get
Hmm.
be a director, just want to come into the industry? Do you have any resources that you recommend, particularly whether it's podcast, books, like
Ooh.
videos that they could watch, that you want to shout out here?
Oh, that is a really great question. Okay. God, there's so many things that I could want to say.
That's okay.
Um, but I guess I would say let curiosity lead the way,
Mm,
and your curiosities are going to be what what keys you into characters, what gives you a very specific point of view. Um, I am not somebody who went to conservatory. I started when I was a teen actor, but I've always considered it important and part of my job as an artist to continue learning and taking workshops and figuring out new tools to put in my toolbox. So whether that's Alexander technique or taking an animal workshop that incorporates
mm,
animalistic movements into performance, and whether it's clown. So I would say I don't think enough people do this. Go seek out a clown class. That's probably
really?
not a piece of advice people get very often. But I particularly love a teacher. He was at Yale School of Drama. His name's Christopher Bays, and he has this wonderful book called Discovering the Clown. I think you can get it on Amazon. I'm not sure. Um, but there's, you know, even if it's on Zoom, try and find a clown class and take it and just see, because that I would say that is one of the um, wonderful tools that came into handy for F, Marry, Kill because it just teaches you how to play and not be afraid of not being funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so cool. It's also just like so much of like acting, like going back to like animal classes, like we have to allow ourselves to be so uncomfortable that like
Yes. Yeah. You
things
have
like
to
that will help.
force yourself to feel. Um, I call it um, crunchy, like when something feels like new and you haven't figured out how it's going to settle or where it's good. Like get crunchy, like have
Yeah.
that be a part of something that's regularly a part of your prep or your um, way of moving through the world because it's good to get crunchy.
I love it. New
That's gonna
Instagram bio, get
yeah
crunchy.
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. Before we you leave, can I do like a little rapid fire segment?
Whew, okay. Yes.
It's nothing like super stressful. It's all about your like firsts or favorites.
Okay, great. First and favorites.
Okay,
Love
cool.
that.
First and favorites. Um, cool. Okay. First time on set.
Ooh, I was in a small indie film when I was like 13, and I remember I was babysitting and then had to go to bed and then wake up at like midnight for my 2 a.m. call time. It was like,
No,
yeah,
the worst. Oh God. Just bags under the
yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
Okay, great. Do you remember your first professional audition?
Hmm, I don't know if
It
I
could be
do,
tricky.
but probably it might have been a honeycomb commercial.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's kind of sick.
yep.
Um, do you remember the first time that you had to cry on command?
Oh, wow. Um, hmm. I don't. I'm sure it was in an audition as a
Yeah,
young person. Yeah. Yeah.
crazy work. Good stuff. Okay, favorite line from like a TV show or a movie that, or like a quote that you kind of like carry with you?
Oh my gosh. I gotta go Pretty Woman and just big mistake. Big mistake.
Love, love. Favorite snack at Crafty?
Ooh, I'm a big like after lunch getting some dark chocolate or chocolate covered almonds or something that's kind of like delectable and gives me a bit of a sugar rush for the next
Nice.
part of the day. Yeah.
Love that. Do you remember the TV show or film that inspired you to want to become an actor? Or maybe it
Yeah.
was something completely different.
No, no, I do. It's so funny. I was young. So there was this Disney movie called Far Off Place with Reese Witherspoon and Ethan Embry.
So good.
Yeah, okay.
A plus.
So, yes, I love that movie and I had such a crush on both Ethan Embry and Reese Witherspoon. And then I got to go to Africa and film with some of the same crew members that worked on that movie.
Oh, that's sick. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah,
I love that full circle moment. That's so
yeah. It was
cool.
pretty great.
Do you have a favorite song that like pumps you up or maybe even calms you down for like an audition or a scene?
Yes, I do. I gotta say, I love Tove Lo's song "Cool Girl."
Oh,
So if I need to get like my cool girl on and feel confident, walk into
nice.
well, not an audition now, but just feel like I'm full of me in a fun, sexy way, then yeah, I'll listen to "Cool Girl."
I love it. And last one for you. Do you have a favorite celebrity that it would be like your dream to work with? Manifesting here.
Yeah. Um, I mean, Julianne Moore,
That's a great one. I
yeah,
could see that. Oh my
yeah,
God, wait, like sisters here would be
right?
so cool. I
Yeah,
see it. Oh my God,
or a
we're gonna
younger
make it
Julianne
happen.
Moore. Yeah,
We're gonna make it happen. Somebody who's watching and they're gonna
I'll put
produce
it
it.
out into the
100%.
yeah universe.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was perfect.
Hey, my name is Brooke Nevin. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Young Entertainment.